All right, we have our 1 minute Dragon 25 team. There was quite a bit of tweaking to do, and we had to find some roundabout ways to do some things because we lack a little bit of the gear that we need for Seer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and talk about how everyone's geared, why they're geared the way they're geared. We'll take a look at the run, and then hopefully, if you've got anything like this will help you get yours set up. Obviously, there's different variations of how this works, but this is the one we're going with. We'll start with Rule because he is in the leader spot for the crit rate lead that he has in all battles, okay? Obviously, he's got Hex and some Hex mechanics. He's got some other fun stuff going on in his kit. And then he does have the A1 defense down, which is pretty handy, especially since he's going second in the runs. When we get to the Dragon, if he's on cooldown, he'll get up a defense down immediately. Otherwise, Draco probably has his ready. So either way, defense down should be going up very early once you get to the Dragon, which is nice because when Armager starts going, we want everything Armager does to have as big of an impact as possible, right? So that's Rule. We have Rule on an immunity set because it's an extra buff. And when we get to Seer, you'll see I'm a little bit shy on the crit damage. I literally think that if I had like 5% more crit damage, we would be good to go on Seer. You'll see in the run what I'm talking about. But we've got an immunity set for the extra buff. He has a divine crit rate set. Initially, it was because the way that it used to work, if I'm not mistaken, is divine sets used to be a different buff than an actual shield buff from a shield set. They used to go up as two different buffs. I think now they get piled into the same because I spent a bunch of silver trying to get divine sets on a few champs only to realize it was all still one buff. But these also just happen to be good pieces that work for them, right? We get our speed and accuracy there. We get our speed and accuracy there with some crit stats. So we only need him at 80 crit rate if we want him critting every time because of his lead. So we just left the divine crit set on him, but that's what he looks like. Quick look at his masteries. We really just want to get him down to War Master. Having a little bit of lifesteal is fine, and then over here, bump his accuracy, bump his stats with Lore of Steel. Pretty standard stuff over here, nothing too interesting. Next, we'll look at Draco. Draco's actually going to be the fastest on the team, and in my experience, you want him a bit faster than everyone else, right? I did a run where he was only 1 or 2 speed points higher than Rule, and it wasn't working because in the second wave, the way that it works with Renegade, something was happening out of whack because I think Draco wasn't fast enough to do something he needed to do, and it was screwing up the way the run worked before Renegade would do her reset in the second wave and everyone would go through again. So something was getting screwed up. So what I did was I just made Draco a bit faster, right? If we take a quick look, he's at 253. Now, I think there's some wiggle room for Rule. I think Rule could be up in the 240s and everything would still be fine, but I think Draco needs that separation from everyone else. So roughly, I guess have Draco roughly 20 speed higher than whoever's going third, which should be Seer. She's in the low 220s. So like 20 to 30 speed. Again, I don't know exactly what was going wrong, but I know that adding about 20 speed to Draco fixed it. So Draco around the 250s. Rule can be in the 240s, I believe, and then everyone else you kind of want down in the low 220s, except for Renegade. So anyway, we have an immunity set on him too because we're not really looking for impact damage out of him. We just want him to have the accuracy to do what he needs to do. We need the defense downs and weakens, and we need the poison on the Dragon. He has the wrong affinity for this dungeon, so having crit stats on him, he'll land a lucky crit occasionally, and it'll be nice. But really, what we need out of him consistently is accuracy for the poisons and the defense down and weaken. So I just eliminated the crit stats from his build. I added some HP to him so that he could take a hit at the Dragon, hang around a little bit longer, throw up some more poisons maybe before he gets dropped, which speeds it up a little bit. So immunity set on him as well, and then just look for accuracy, get his speed in the right place, which again I think is roughly in the 250s, and then yeah, HP, accuracy, speed on him. Okay, quick look at his masteries as well. Again, nothing too exciting over here. This one is on him just for the hell of it. Honestly, we could have gone with Cycle of Magic. It doesn't really matter. Lore Steel would have been nice too, but this is, I think, what I already had on him for some. I don't remember, but either way, we really want him down at War Master. If we want War Master procs, We want things that boost his accuracy. If he can put debuffs up longer, great, right? Next in line, we've got Seer. Everyone on the team is fully skilled up, by the way. I think that's a given. Our Seer, mine has a bit of accuracy. That was not intentional. For this specifically, accuracy is not important. If you want to use her in Doom Tower hard, it can come in handy, depending on what wave you're dealing with. But you don't have to worry about accuracy on her, right? She's just pulling buffs off her own team. You're not stripping buffs off the enemy at any point. If you're stripping buffs off the enemy in this run, something went wrong. So she doesn't need accuracy for this. We do have her on a Savage set, and then a Broken Pieces here. We have her at 223 speed. I think you want her in the 220s, mid to low 220s, and she needs to be faster than Armager. She and Armager can be pretty tight together. If I'm not mistaken, my Armager is also 223. I believe that the way that I fixed that is I just put her in the lineup first, and she goes before him every time, so it works out fine. But Savage set, and on her, we want her to be in that speed range, and then we want her at 80 crit. We need her to crit every time. We can't afford her to not crit, and then just as absolutely much crit damage as you can get on her. We got her up to 283. I really believe if it was like 290 plus, we would be fine. I think if you get her around maybe 305 plus, 310 plus, you can probably drop the immunity sets. They probably become less important. You're still going to want the shield set on your Renegade, but I think if you can get her like 305, you can probably drop the immunity sets. I don't know exactly what the threshold is. I'm kind of estimating here based on what I have seen while I was messing with her. But we've got 2 immunity sets to buffer the fact that I can't quite keep her where I want her speed-wise and everything and get that crit damage. So that's what she looks like. And then a quick look at her masteries. We kind of do like that first turn nuke thing, but instead of War Master on her, I want crit damage, right? I need every single point of crit damage I can get on her. So that's that. And then we just worked her down really to Lore of Steel, and then this one because, why not, right? But that's what she looks like. Next up, we've got Armager. He's on Relentless. I think what might be a little bit more optimal here would be Reflex. I don't think I had the Reflex set that would get close to these stats, so I went with Relentless. The thing about Relentless is he can proc himself out of the shield set, which is not so much a big deal in the first wave because Seer's going to go first. In the second wave, though, if he gets extra turns, he can proc himself out of some of the buffs, which is going to hurt Seer's damage. So if you can get the crit damage on Seer, not as big of a deal, right? But for me, where I'm like right on the line, you'll see when we do the run, I'm right on the line. It hurts when he procs out of his extra buffs. It can be the difference in whether or not we clear the wave in one hit or not. So Reflex set not only has a better chance. I think Reflex is like 30% now, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check that. Yeah, 40% chance now even. So 40% chance to reduce cooldown. He's only got 2 skills, and it's already on a 2-turn. Reflex would be huge. Reflex, he could just keep banging these out, honestly. So I would recommend Reflex if you've got it. Relentless works if you don't, okay? I do think Reflex is the way to go here, though. And again, we want to get him in at least 80 crit rate, and then also pile the crit damage on him. He smacks that dragon, dude. He smacks that dragon. He is the same speed as Seer. I reckon I would try to keep him. I don't really know. He can be 1 point slower than Seer, and it's still fine. I don't know how low he can go. I don't know how close his speed can get to Renegade and still be okay. I reckon you probably want to have him as fast as you can get him without him being faster than Seer. Because when you get to the dragon, if other people start dropping, he's the one that's really going to get the kill for you, unless your Draco's real tanky and can hang out and do poisons. But for me, it's been Armager that's been the one that's winning it every single time. So I don't want him too slow because I want him to be able to sneak in as many turns as possible. And I think the difference between the 223 and even the 220 is probably a couple of turns throughout the fight, ultimately. And those 2 turns add up when you consider that his big hit's on a 2-turn cooldown, right? So accuracy is not important. We can't do anything to the turn meter here. And then so stack his defense up because that's his damage stat. get that 80% crit rate, get as much crit damage on him as you can. I don't even have that much crit damage, honestly. I was a little bit limited with having to keep him in a relentless set. Over time, maybe we'll be able to make some improvements here. But yeah, that's what he looks like. And then his masteries, if I hadn't shown them already, again, we could just kind of work our way down here really for Lore of Steel for when we do maybe get a crit damage set on him later or something. This is really nice. This helps a lot because, again, Seer's going to drop almost certainly. Renegade's going to drop almost certainly. And Draco almost always drops at the dragon. So now we're talking 24 extra speed points, which, again, helps him pump out turns. So later in the fight, that really starts to matter because, again, I've seen many runs where it's been just Armager and the dragon's at like 25% health, and Armager's able to get him out of there because Draco left some poisons up, and you know what I mean. And everybody's contributing pretty heavily here. A little bit of lifesteal is fine. This is actually kind of nice for my current situation because he's occasionally having to clean up the waves. And then we have our Renegade. Renegade is on a shield set. She really only needs to be the speed that she needs to be, which in my case is in the 180s. I think roughly around this area is where you want her to be. You want her slower than everybody else pretty substantially. And again, I think having the gap between like her and Draco is probably part of the difference here in it working right all the way through the wave. So around the 180 seems to be the sweet spot for her. Other than that, shield set, get some HP on her if you like, and get her at the right speed. And then I went ahead and 6-starred her so that I could give her masteries. You do not have to do this. I just figure if she could throw in a War Master proc occasionally, it would be helpful. But I don't think it's mandatory. She's going to drop pretty quick in the last wave anyway, so whatever. I did not give her another tree because I don't want to give her accuracy because I don't want her landing her debuffs here. None of these are really going to do us any good. The heal reduction does nothing in there. She can't put a slow up, the decreased accuracy, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want her taking up debuff spots away from Draco. I want Draco to be able to throw up as many poisons as he can before he dies, because again, that and Armager are what wins us the fight every single time. So I tried to avoid getting any accuracy on her, and I did not put anything in her masteries because, again, I don't want to bump her accuracy. I could go down the other way, you know what I mean? I could do it, but it's like it's not important. She's here to do one thing, and she's doing it the way we have her built. So that's that. Let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at the run, and we'll talk about the run. All right, so taking a look at the team now, I want to talk about a few things in their AI real quick that I think we need to address. For Seer, for round 1, 2, and 3, just put Karma Burn on first choice. Just to alleviate the headache of it. She'll use Karma Burn automatically if there's a certain amount of buffs on herself. Before I started running the immunity sets and stuff, I was running into issues where she would A2 first sometimes. Just make her Karma Burn first. Just set the A out of that. That way you don't have to worry about it. Then she'll do it every time, and you can see how much damage you're getting, and you can see what you need to fix, and you don't have to worry about solving other problems, okay? Armager, I was noticing at the dragon, there would be times where there was once he procced 4 or 5 extra turns, and not one single time did he use this, and I don't know why. So just in round 3, set later rest, set him to use it as first choice. I don't know what is going on that's making him decide sometimes to use it and sometimes not. But when I came in here and did this, I noticed that I dropped several seconds off the run. Because again, he's proccing all these extra turns and for whatever reason was only using his A1 when he would do it. And we were missing out on a lot of damage, right? That's a lot of big damage. You'll see how hard he's hitting once we get there. And then for Renegade, I would come in and I would do round 1. I would not give her access to her A3 in round 1. In my case, that's what I need to do because you'll see we're right on the line sometimes of Seer one-shotting the wave and not one-shotting the wave. And usually if she doesn't, Armager will clean up. Armager and Draco can clean it up. But sometimes Draco misses a defense down in the first wave or something. And if we get it back around to Renegade, we don't want her burning this, right? Because even if round 1 kind of flops, if we can clear it and get to round 2, she can fix it, right? Everybody's going to do whatever they do. And then she's going to come in the second round and use this if it's available and kind of reset and fix everything, right? So take away her access to this in the first round. So Armager in the third round, first choice on his A2. Seer, first choice Karma Burn all rounds. And then round 1, do not use Sacrificial Ritual. And you should be good to go on their AI. You shouldn't run into any issues that are AI related from there. Then it will just be a matter of gear and the occasional unlucky missing the defense down with Draco. See what I mean? 1 HP. If we can get 5 more crit damage points on Seer, I think we're going to be good there. But it's not a big deal. Armager can clean that up. So we're good here. She can clear the second wave fine. Now we're here at the dragon. Draco almost always throws up poisons when we get her first. Again, sometimes we don't get the kill in the second wave. Very rare. It's pretty regular that we don't get it in the first wave. Very rarely do we not one-shot the second wave with things built the way they are right now. Usually we don't take a hit from the special skill here. Usually we're able to get rid of the health there. And then, yeah, you see Armager just banging, dude. Just banging. And there, that would have been an example where he took extra turns but wouldn't have used later rest in some instances. And I just don't know why. So that alleviates it. The range here on the runs seems to be... Ooh, that's a new best. That's a new best. I think the worst run once this was all sorted was like 109, and then my previous best was 101, and then now here we got a sub 1 minute run. So that's the run. That's the setup. That's some of the troubleshooting that I had to do and things that I figured out solved the problems that I was having. I think if you get the AI set up like that and generally match what I've done here, you'll be fine. I think some of you, if you're at a point where you're ready to really start speedrunning Dragon 25, I would imagine you are probably able to build a better Seer than I have. She is not super special. I mean, she's decent. She's a decent Seer, but I bet a lot of you can do better on the crit damage. And as you can see, you don't need to do that much better. If you can get her, I really think like 290. It really seems like 290 would be what would push over with the immunity sets. I think if you want to do it without immunity sets, you probably need a bit more. But anyway, that's it. That's our dragon team. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. Maybe you had these champs lying around. Maybe you got Rule lying around and you're not doing anything with him. Here's a spot for him where you can put some pretty background gear on him and have him contribute pretty heavily. That way you're not tying him up. You're not tying up a champ you might want to do something else with, and you don't necessarily have to tie up any really great gear that you might want to do something with. So that's pretty cool. But that's it. I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully this helps you guys. And we'll be back soon with maybe Fire Knight. Maybe we'll do Fire Knight next. I'm not real sure. Might be kind of a surprise what we end up doing next on this account. But that's it. Later, guys.